Hello dear students, welcome back to EDUHUNT video lecture series, and we have been discussing about various endocrine glands and their secretions, that is hormones, and how they function and what are the consequences if the hormones, the secretions of the endocrine glands are not normal. Abnormal situations we have been discussed, and now by looking at the board, you can see types of diabetes. And in our family, the adults, especially the old age people, suffering from diabetes is quite common. It is quite common in every family. If we see the family history, some of our relatives, some of our family members suffer from this diabetes. So what causes diabetes and what happens if diabetes attacks a person? Let us get into the details. That is, next, gland, that is pancreas. Next endocrine gland is pancreas. Where does the pancreas occurs? It is present in the coil of the duodenum. It is about 15 centimeters in size and weighs approximately 80 grams in an adult. It weighs approximately 80 grams, and we have seen pituitary gland and other glands like thymus gland, anterior pituitary, posterior pituitary. Like that, we have seen the secretions of these glands influence the other hormones also, other glands to secrete the hormones. Even we have seen gonads, that is reproductive organs of male and female, testes and ovaries. Testes, they produce testosterone, and ovaries release estrogen and progesterone. And we have also discussed that how these hormones work together. And also, those are exclusively endocrine glands. They secrete, they release their secretions directly into the bloodstream, and through the bloodstream, they reach the target organ or target site. But this is a different gland. Pancreas is a different structure in which it is a composite heterocrine gland. That means it is both exocrine gland and endocrine gland. It releases enzymes as well as it synthesizes hormones. And exocrine part of the pancreas is acini. Acini are the structures, cellular structures. They are responsible for the release of, it is a part of exocrine part of the pancreas and produces pancreatic juice. And endocrine part is the islets of Langerhans. Let us see pancreas. If we see pancreas is a composite heterocrine gland. composite heterocrine gland, and which has both exocrine and endocrine. Exocrine, and this part releases pancreatic juice. Endocrine part, it releases hormones. The exocrine part that releases the pancreatic juice in the structure of pancreas are acini. But the endocrine part of the pancreas consists of islets of Langerhans. Islets of Langerhans. Islets of Langerhans, these are group of cells which are responsible for the production of hormones. These group of cells basically categorized into alpha cells and beta cells, though there are delta cells, but the primary and the majority of the Langerhans islets consists of alpha cells and beta cells. Let us see how they work. Alpha cells. Let us see alpha cells of pancreas. The alpha cells, they secrete a hormone called glucagon. Glucagon is the hormone secreted by the alpha cells. Glucagon is a peptide hormone. We have seen, based on the chemical composition, 3 types of hormones are present, secreted by the endocrine glands in the body. One is the peptide hormones. They are proteinaceous in nature. And second is amino acid derivatives. And third category, steroids, which have the cholesterol or the fatty substances or the derivatives of cholesterols. Glucagon is a peptide hormone, and this glucagon, it activates, and this hormone works on hepatocytes. What are hepatocytes? These are liver cells. Hepatocytes are liver cells. This glucagon hormone works on the hepatocytes. It causes the raise of the glucose in the blood. How it causes raising glucose in the blood? Because it is responsible for glycogenolysis. What is meant by glycogenolysis? What is glycogenolysis? Glycogenolysis is nothing but breakdown of glycogen. Lysis means breakdown. So, breakdown of glycogen into glucose. So, this is called glycogenolysis. This happens with the help of this enzyme glucagon, secreted by alpha cells of Langerhans, islets of Langerhans. And this hormone causes breakdown of glycogen in the liver cells and responsible for the release of glucose, and also it reduces the utilization of glucose in the cells, in the blood. సెల్యులర్ గ్లూకోజ్ని టిష్యూస్ కానీ బాడీ కానీ యూటిలైజ్ చేసుకోకపోతే ఏమవుతుందంటే బ్లడ్లో గ్లూకోజ్ లెవెల్ పెరిగిపోతుంది. బ్లడ్లో గ్లూకోజ్ లెవెల్ పెరిగిపోతే దాన్ని హైపర్ గ్లైసీమియా అంటాము. ఇట్ కాజెస్ రైజ్ ఇన్ ద గ్లూకోజ్ లెవెల్ ఆఫ్ ద బ్లడ్ కాల్డ్ హైపర్ గ్లైసీమియా. అందుకే ఈ హార్మోన్ని హైపర్ గ్లైసిమిక్ హార్మోన్ అంటాం. హైపర్ గ్లైసిమిక్ హార్మోన్. What is hyperglycemic hormone? That is glucagon. Glucagon is called as hyperglycemic hormone because it raises the blood sugar level, blood glucose level. How it raises? It causes breakdown of glycogen into the glucose called glycogenolysis, and it also causes gluconeogenesis, and it reduces the utilization of cellular glucose. That is why అంటే యూటిలైజేషన్ ఎప్పుడైతే తగ్గిపోతుందో సెల్లో బ్లడ్లో గ్లూకోజ్ లెవెల్ పెరిగిపోతుంది, ఉండిపోతుంది అలాగా. సో దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ హైపర్గ్లైసీమియా అని అంటాం. నెక్స్ట్ వన్, next is secretion of beta cells. Beta cells secrete insulin. Insulin, which is also a peptide hormone. Insulin is also a peptide hormone, and this hormone is responsible for the control of the blood sugar level, blood glucose level. Both glucagon as well as insulin both work coordinated manner to control the blood glucose level. It works on hepatocytes, that is liver cells, and also adipocytes. That is adipose cells అంటే fat cells, adipocytes. So hepatocytes, adipocytes. Insulin works on both the cells and causes reduction of the cellular glucose level. How it causes reduction of cellular glucose level? It causes breakdown of glucose, conversion of glucose to glycogen, and also it increases the cellular glucose utilization. ఎప్పుడైతే సెల్లో గ్లూకోజ్ యూటిలైజ్ అయ్యిందో అప్పుడు మనకి బ్లడ్లో గ్లూకోజ్ లెవెల్ తగ్గిపోతుంది, అంతే కదా. ఇప్పుడు రైస్ బ్యాగ్లో ఉన్న రైస్ వాడుతూ ఉంటే అది తగ్గుతూ ఉంటుంది. ఇప్పుడు సెల్లో ఉన్న గ్లూకోజ్ యూటిలైజ్ అయితే తగ్గుతుంది, యూటిలైజ్ కాకపోతే అలాగే ఉండిపోతుంది, ఇంకా వచ్చి యాడ్ అవుతూ ఉంది. మనం సెల్యులర్ మెటబాలిజం జరుగుతూ ఉంటుంది కదా, సో ఆ మెటబాలిజం వల్ల యాడ్ అవుతూ ఉంటుంది, బట్ యూటిలైజేషన్ తక్కువ ఉంది. దట్ లీడ్స్ టు ద ఇంక్రీజ్ ఇన్ ద బ్లడ్ షుగర్ లెవెల్. బట్ దిస్ హార్మోన్, insulin hormone, which takes the responsibility of utilization of the cellular glucose level. In this way, it decreases the cellular glucose or the blood glucose level. This is called hypoglycemic hormone. Hypoglycemic hormone ani antam దీన్ని. ఓకే, ఇది ఇన్సులిన్. మరి ఇన్సులిన్ కనుక డెఫిషియన్సీ వస్తే మ్యాక్సిమం మనం చూస్తూ ఉన్నాం కదా, మన చుట్టూ చాలామంది ఇన్సులిన్ ట్యాబ్లెట్స్ వేసుకోవడం, అలాగే షుగర్ లెవెల్స్ చెక్ చేయించుకోవడం, ఎప్పటికప్పుడు షుగర్ లెవెల్స్ పడిపోయాయి అంటారు, పెరిగిపోయాయి అంటారు. సో వాట్ ఈస్ దిస్ అబ్నార్మల్ కండిషన్? దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ డయాబెటీస్. డయాబెటీస్లో కూడా 2 టైప్స్ ఉన్నాయి, నేను ఒక వీడియో ప్లే చేస్తాను. 2 టైప్స్ ఆఫ్ డయాబెటీస్తో పాటు అసలు ఈ కోఆర్డినేటెడ్ మేనర్లో గ్లూకాగాన్, ఇన్సులిన్. గ్లూకాగాన్ కాజెస్ రైజ్ ఇన్ ద బ్లడ్ గ్లూకోజ్ లెవెల్ అండ్ ఇన్సులిన్ కాజెస్ ద డిక్రీజ్ ఇన్ ద blood glucose level. In this way, they both work together to control, to regulate the blood glucose level. If it does not released in a sufficient amount, then what happens? It leads to the increase in the blood sugar level. అంటే యూటిలైజేషన్ తగ్గిపోతుంది. యూటిలైజేషన్ తగ్గిపోవడం వల్ల బ్లడ్ షుగర్ లెవెల్ పెరిగిపోతుంది. దిస్ ఈజ్ కాల్డ్ డయాబెటిస్ మెల్లిటస్. డయాబెటిస్ మెల్లిటస్ అంటాం. సో డయాబెటిస్ మెల్లిటస్లో ఏం జరుగుతుందంటే బ్లడ్లో గ్లూకోజ్ లెవెల్ ఇంక్రీజ్ అయిపోతుంది బికాస్ ఆఫ్ డెఫిషియన్సీ ఆఫ్ దిస్ ఇన్సులిన్ హార్మోన్. గ్లూకోజ్ లెవెల్ ఇంక్రీజ్ అవ్వడంతో పాటు దే ఎక్స్క్రీట్ కంటైనింగ్ గ్లూకోజ్. They excrete glucose through the urine, and also development of some harmful ketone bodies in the blood. This is abnormal situation. So these are toxic to the body. So toxic substances must be eliminated or excreted through the body. If they deposit in the body, in the blood, what happens? They cause malfunctioning of the body. Anyway, this is about the pancreas. Pancreas lo మనం చూసినట్టు islets of Langerhans lo especially alpha cells and beta cells which are responsible for the production of glucagon and insulin. And even the delta cells are also there, but there are very few in number. And alpha cells, these are acidophilic cells and responsible for the production of glucagon hormone. Just now we have discussed, and it is a glycogenolytic, that is glycogenolysis occurs in the liver and not in the muscles, and causes breakdown of glycogen into glucose that I have shown you. Yes, glycogen into glucose. This is called glycogenolysis. This is the cross section of a pancreas where you can see the beta cells. These are acini, the flower-like structures that are situated in the peripheral region of the pancreas are the acini. They cause the release of the gastric pancreatic juice, and then these are the cells which are compactly arranged without any spaces. These are the beta cells, alpha cells, and even delta cells are also there. Alpha cells are responsible for the production of glucagon, and beta cells for the production of insulin, and increase the amount of glucose in the blood. That is called hyperglycemic hormone or hyperglycemic factor is called the glucagon. Glucagon is the hyperglycemic factor or hormone. Hyperglycemic factor reduces the glucose utilization, cellular glucose utilization, and ఇది కూడా మనం డిస్కస్ చేసుకున్నాము. హైపోసెక్రీషన్ ఆఫ్ ఇన్సులిన్ అంటే ఇన్సులిన్ సెక్రీషన్ తగ్గిపోతే ఏం జరుగుతుంది? ఇట్ కాజెస్ హైపర్గ్లైసీమియా. Hyperglycemia, that is increase in the blood sugar level as the permeability of the cells to glucose decreases. Permeability ante the affinity of the cells to move through the membrane, cell membrane, that is decreased. If it decreases, what happens? So the plasma membrane does not allow the glucose to pass through. That is why the cells will not take up the glucose from the blood. That causes raise in the glucose level, and it is not utilized for the energy. Energy కావాలంటే గ్లూకోజ్ కావాలి కదా. సో గ్లూకోజ్ ఈజ్ నాట్ యూటిలైజ్డ్ ఫర్ ద ప్రొడక్షన్ ఆఫ్ ఎనర్జీ. అలా ఎనర్జీ తక్కువగా ఉంటుంది. ఎక్కువ డయాబెటిక్ పేషెంట్స్కి ఎప్పటికప్పుడు నీరసం అయిపోతూ ఉంటారు. రీజన్ ఏంటి అంటే సెల్యులర్ గ్లూకోజ్ ఈజ్ నాట్ బీయింగ్ ప్రాపర్లీ యూటిలైజ్డ్ ఫర్ ద ప్రొడక్షన్ ఆఫ్ ఫర్ ద రిలీజ్ ఆఫ్ ఎనర్జీ. అండ్ వెన్ దే పాస్ యూరిన్, దే పాస్ this glucose through the urine, called a condition called glycosuria. ఇందాక చెప్పాను కదా, glycosuria అంటాము. And moreover, there is accumulation of toxic ketone bodies in the blood, and the passing of glucose in urine due to the deficiency of insulin is called diabetes mellitus. And there is another type of diabetes called diabetes insipidus, and it is more a disease of lipid metabolism rather than a carbohydrate breakdown. Carbohydrate breakdown kante kuda lipid metabolism lo vache changes valla it causes And one of the causes for this functioning and disproportionate quantity of glucose in the blood. The person feels more thirst, and these are the symptoms of diabetes mellitus. The person feels more thirst, that is called polydipsia, and consumes more food called polyphagia. Polyphagia and polydipsia. అంటే ఎక్కువ దాహం వేయడం, ఎక్కువ ఆకలి వేసి ఎక్కువ తినేస్తూ ఉంటారు. అందుకే డయాబెటిక్ పేషెంట్స్ ఈవెన్ దే బికమ్ ఫ్యాట్. The breakdown of muscular tissues produce loss of weight and tiredness. Muscular tissues కూడా breakdown అయిపోవడం వల్ల tiredness వచ్చేస్తుంది. So this is about the pancreas, one of the endocrine glands. One of the endocrine glands and also an important gland, which has both exocrine and endocrine function. In the next session, we'll go with the details of other endocrine glands. Let's watch a video first.
But lower than in diabetics. Pre-diabetes may or may not progress to diabetes. During food digestion, carbohydrates, or carbs, break down into glucose, which is carried by the bloodstream to various organs of the body. Insulin is the hormone produced by beta cells of the pancreas and is necessary for glucose intake by target cells. In healthy people, beta cells of the pancreas produce insulin. Insulin binds to its receptors on target cells and induce glucose intake. In type 1 diabetes, beta cells of the pancreas are destroyed by the immune system by mistake. The reason why this happens is unclear, but genetic factors are believed to play a major role. Insulin production is reduced. Less insulin binds to its receptor on target cells. Less glucose is taken into the cells. More glucose stays in the blood. Type 1 is characterized by early onset. Symptoms commonly start suddenly and before the age of 20. Type 1 diabetes is normally managed with insulin injection. Type 1 diabetics are therefore insulin dependent. In type 2 diabetes, the pancreas produces enough insulin, but something goes wrong either with receptor binding or insulin signaling inside the target cells. The cells are not responsive to insulin and therefore cannot import glucose. Glucose stays in the blood. In other words, type 2 diabetics are insulin resistant. Here again, genetic factors predispose susceptibility to the disease, but it is believed that lifestyle plays a very important role in type 2. Typically, obesity, inactive lifestyle, and unhealthy diet are associated with higher risk of type 2 diabetes. Type 2 is characterized by adult onset. Symptoms usually appear gradually and start after the age of 30. Type 2 diabetes accounts for about 80 to 90% of all diabetics. Management focuses on weight loss and includes a low-carb diet.
అది type 1, type 2 diabetes మధ్య difference. Type 1, it early onsets before 20 in people and it is said to be genetic. Type 2 is because of unhealthy food habits. మన లైఫ్ స్టైల్ని బట్టి, మన ఫుడ్ హ్యాబిట్స్ని బట్టి వస్తుంది టైప్ 2 డయాబెటీస్. అండ్ టైప్ 2 డయాబెటీస్ ఇన్సులిన్ రెసిస్టెంట్ అని చెప్తాం. టైప్ 1 డయాబెటీస్ అనేది జెనెటిక్ కాబట్టి సో ఇన్సులిన్ ప్రొడక్షన్ తక్కువగా ఉంటుంది అండ్ రిసెప్టార్కి ఈ ఇన్సులిన్ బైండింగ్ అనేది తక్కువగా ఉండడం వల్ల గ్లూకోజ్ absorption by the cell will be decreased. As a result, the glucose level in the blood increases. This is about type 1 and 2 diabetes, and which is caused by the disproportionate production of insulin hormone by the pancreas. In the next session, we'll see different endocrine gland. Goodbye.